An asset in Flutter could be a static file, could be a JSON file, a configuration files, icons, or images. This video will be going over how to import files to be bundled with your app into your project, how to specify them correctly in your project, and how to load the assets into your project. You'll be loading a static file, which will be a JSON string, images in different ways, and also load resolution aware images and icons. To work with assets in Flutter, there are 3 steps you need to keep in mind. The first step is import. During this step, you move your file from wherever they are into your project. Second step is to specify. During this step, you add the path to your asset into your postspec.yml file. And the last step is to load. During this step, use Flutter available APIs to load your asset from the asset directory into your project. With these 3 steps, let's get our hand dirty. I have a simple app set up already. It contains a list of buttons. Each button opens a different page, which we'll be working with throughout the course of this video. The first thing we'll be working with is to load a static file, which will be a JSON file. So the first thing is to import. I'll create a new directory and name it JSON. The name of the directory does not matter at all at this point. I will import my asset into the JSON directory. Now the next step is to specify. Specify means going to your postspec.yml file and add a path to your image. So I'll create a new asset section and type the path to my image, which should be relative to the postspec.yml file, to the content root. So that would be json/settings.json. You can run the project to confirm it is working. If it runs without any error, that means it works fine. Next step is to load the asset. So which will load into our page here. We want to load the content of settings.json into our text. So we open that file, which is this. It contains an empty text file, a stub text file, which we will work with shortly. Now we can load our JSON file, which is a string, in 2 ways. First is to use the root bundle. The root bundle allows you to get access to the asset bundle wherever you are in the app or wherever you don't have an access to the app context. But the other way to load it is to use what is called default asset bundle.off, which takes a context as a parameter. In our case here, I'll be using root bundle. Now, because root bundle.load string returns a feature, I'll be using a feature builder to build the text that I'll be showing. So I'll replace this text with a feature builder. The feature would be the method to load our string. Use the root bundle dot load string. The key is the path to our project, our file. Sorry. So you can copy the file here and go back to your page and add it there. Our builder gives us a context and a snapshot. So we can return a text. So our text content will be data in our snapshot, which should be the text that I'll load from our JSON file. But we'll do a check to check if the snapshot actually has the data before we load the content into the text. So we can do snapshot.asData. If not, we can return a text that says loading. Can run our project. Content of our JSON file has been loaded into our text file successfully. The next thing we'll be doing is to load images. We'll load images in a couple of ways. The first one is load images normally. Second one is to load images specifying just the directory of the image. And the third way is to load the image using a resolution aware process. So let's start with the normal image loading. So the first step, which is to import, we'll import our image into our project. I'll create a new directory and call it images. Then I'll import my image. Now we have two images named RP and laptop. Next step we'll do is to specify. So the same thing we did in the previous step. In the previous section, we'll go to our prospect.yml file. Then we'll add our images to it. We can simply copy from here, copy part from content root and add it to our part. The next step is to load our image. To load our image into our page, we'll go into loading images normal dot file. So we'll add it to the list of items in the column. To load the image, we'll use the image widget, which takes an image, and we'll be using our exact asset image to load the image into our project. Exact asset image takes an asset name, which should be the name of our file, the name we added into the part, into our part. We can copy it from here and go back into our that file and add it, which is the first one. Then we can copy and add second image. Images. Now reload this. Our first image, our second image load successfully. So following the same step, import, specify, and load. The reason why we are using exact asset image here is because we don't have a different image for different resolutions. If we want to load a different image for different resolutions, we can use what is called the asset image, which I'll be showing soon. Now the next step, if we go back to our home screen, we will see that it's to load image using a directory. Now using a directory, we simply add our directory into our prospect.yml file, and all the images in the directory can be used. So the first thing we'll do, as usual, is to import within any directory, load, and import our file into the load directory. So we have two images here as well, cube and the plot. Now, next step is to specify in our prospect.yml file, but instead of specifying the image itself, specify the directory to the image. So we have images slash load and the last slash. Now this will allow Flutter to bundle all the images under this directory into the asset bundle, and you can have access to them during runtime. Next step now is to load the image. So we go into our loading image with directory. Same exact way we add here. We can copy what we have here and load the image. But in the image, we have load slash what we have in our directory. We have cube, and then we have load and ports. Now, remember, we did not specify this particular image in our prospect.yml file, but let's see if it will work. So we can run our project and open load imaging with directory. Now we see that our image is here. So we follow the same step, which is to import our file, to specify our path, and to load the image into our project. Next step on loading images is to load images with a variant. At the time of this recording, Flutter only uses the image variant loading to select a different image for different device pixel density. Next thing we'll be doing now is to load an image for different pixel densities. To do that, we want to import first, and the structure of our import directory will be a bit different. Now let's go ahead to do that. Under the images directory, we'll create a new directory and call it card. To load an image for different pixel densities, you have to have different image dimensions or different image sizes, the one that works for different device densities. So in my case, I have the main directory, the main image, which is the base dimension, and I have the ×2, which is 2x, and 3x. So I'll be importing each of those images. So my main image, which is the 1.0, will be in the main part under my card. It's a bit small, I know. Now the next image would be under a new directory that I will rename 2.0x. This 2.0x simply means telling Flutter to load this particular image in its directory for device whose pixel density ratio is above 1.5. So copy our image, which is 2x, into the directory. We can make sure the name of the images are the same thing. So I'll rename this to MasterCard, and also rename this as well to MasterCard. Next step is to import the third image, which will be under a different directory as well, which will be 3.0x. Now the same thing, copy our image into our project, name it MasterCard. So all three images have the same name but are into different directory. Now what this means is that Flutter will load this image for a device that has a pixel density of 1.0, and Flutter will choose to load this image for a device that has a pixel density of 1.5 upward and 2.5 upward pixel. Flutter will pick the image from here. Now to specify this image, we need to go to our postspec.yml file as usual. Now this is a bit different as well. We want to specify each of the file in our postspec.yml file. So we can copy this, copy the path, and have it here. This is our 1.0. 2.0, and 3.0. To load the image for different device pixel density, we'll be using the loading image resolution aware.dat file. Now to load this kind of image, we need to use what is called the asset image. Now asset image is aware of the pixel ratio, so it will pick the matching available image for different device pixel densities. So we can specify our path. We'll be specifying the base image alone. Now we can reload this. If you zoom into the app, you'll see that image that was loaded is the much more clearer MasterCard image, which means Flutter was able to pick the image for the particular device correctly. So that's how you specify images for different device pixel density. The last asset we'll be working with is icons. We're loading icons in different ways. The first one is to use icon that was pre-bundled with the SDK. Second way is to load an icon with an image. Now let's do the first step, to load icon with the default way. So for that, I'll be using the load icons page. I'll configure this to contain button navigation. Now all we have is just the basic button navigation bar without the icon. So I'll go ahead to add different icons by using the icons that is pre-bundled with the SDK. So we can specify our icon. So what I have done so far is to create a button navigation bar item and used the icon that was pre-bundled with the app to load the icons. So if I reload this and show the page, should have a button navigation bar item with different icons. To see the available icons that are pre-bundled, you can just use this and do a dot sign. It should populate all the icons that are available for you to use in the project. So you can choose to use anyone you want to use. So that's the first way to load an icon, to use an icon in Flutter. Second way to load an icon is to use an image icon. So I will import an image icon now. So this would involve us doing a normal step, which is to import, specify, and load. So I'll import my icon now. Before I do that, I'll create a new directory called icon and import my icon. Call it dumbbell. Next thing after importing is to specify. So I'll copy the path and specify. After specifying the path in the post.yml file, I can come to my page to use the icon. So in this case, I'll be replacing the icon widget with image icon, which will be our icon. You can run this. So if you check what we imported into our icon to be a dumbbell, and we can see how it was specified in our post.yml file and how we loaded it into our project. Now to make this interactable, I will just modify the bottom navigation bar. So that is how you use an image or an icon in your Flutter project. With this, we have come to the end of the video. Let me know what you think about using assets in Flutter. If you find this video useful, please hit the like button and subscribe if you have not. I'll be posting more content like this. See you in the next video.